Hi guys, welcome to another monthly reset. Since we haven't done one of these in a while, I think in terms of reviewing, we're gonna review my annual goals for the year. So 8 months in, we're gonna see how it's been going, and then we'll make some new goals for September, as well as chat about finances and my favorites for the last few months. So I had a bit of a rough night in terms of getting sleep. So I'm running on about 5 hours of sleep, and I want to get this video done today, so I'm gonna just take you along as I do some things. Right now, the first order of things is gonna be some coffee, and then we're gonna hit the road. I have to go to Aldi and pick up a few things, and we'll see what else we get into, but I'll chat with you guys in the car. Let's talk about my goals for 2024 and how I've been doing so far. First goal was to max out my retirement accounts, and I am on track to do that. I had my 401k, 403b to be maxed out, and I'll put the numbers as to how much I have put in so far this year. So there's that, and then I have a Roth IRA as well, and then new this year is an HSA. Next goal I had was to pay off my Lexus. So I think I had wanted to save up the remaining balance and have that ready to pay off the rest of the year, but I think I only managed to save half of that balance. However, currently I have $13,000 left on the loan, and it will be paid off in April of next year, which is very exciting. 3 years went by very quickly, and I'm glad for it. So yes. Next goal I had was to decrease my belongings in half, and that has not happened. I have just not dedicated any time to this for one reason or another. The beginning half of the year was a little bit more stressful than I would have liked, as in I was working more than usual, or I was so exhausted, like I just did not want to be doing that on my downtime, which is forever the problem. Anyway, this second half of the year I've decided to just decrease working extra because I'm not certain that it's worth the extra stress, even though it's nice to have the money, but the money is taxed so significantly that it's crazy. So it's almost doesn't make any sense. So knowing that, hopefully I have some time to do a little bit more decluttering and sell some things, but we'll see. I can only do so much, but I can do a lot. I just have to have it in my mind that it needs to be done, or to have some sort of push, and that has not happened this year. So next thing that I wanted to work on was to learn French. So started out the year strong. I was doing Duolingo, and then prior to that I had audiobook that I was following along with, basically language on tapes, but audiobook version. So that was a thing. However, I just kind of fell off, and part of me knew that it would be very difficult to learn any language unless I am immersed in it. It's just not I have not so far doing what I've been doing in the past been able to learn any language, and that is because I believe I have never been immersed and had a need to do it. So that is part of the problem. So I don't know if it's worthwhile. I suppose it's always worthwhile to learn vocabulary and things, but in terms of being able to speak French, I doubt I can accomplish that without living in a French speaking country for a bit of time. So that goal is pending what I'm gonna do with it, but yeah. Other goal that I had was to do more activities, and I did manage to do that. This was the year that I wanted to start to be a little bit more social in terms of hanging out with friends and possibly meeting new friends, or starting a relationship in the process. So I did several things. I've been traveling, I wouldn't say nonstop. Every few months I've been on a trip. I've been all over the world this year. The first trip I took this year was by myself, and that was a really good trip in terms of how I was then and how I am now. But yeah, so I've been doing that. And then in terms of my actual friends, we've actually been on some vacations this year already, and we've been doing outings like locally, like just setting up time to like go on walks, grab like a coffee, or let's meet up for food. And I told you recently, me and my friends were at the lake, so that was fine, or it was fun actually, so that's been nice. And then now that I'm in a relationship, I've definitely been doing something basically every weekend. So once again, all the things that I usually like to do, so nature walks, we've been going out to lots of like cool restaurants in the city, and we actually just went on our first vacation together in Mexico City, which was very fun. So it's been good. October has several events that I would have wanted to go to if I was like staying locally. Like for one, if you're into polo, which I imagine many people are not into polo, but it seems like a fun sport. But they're having the Vive Clico Polo Championships in October, and then they're having a really cool, I don't know, what do you call them, like restaurant spread, or like a full course meal with like, you know, you buy tickets and you hang out with people who like to have food at a really cool restaurant and eat. So they had a couple of things like that I want to do, but I'm going to be in Japan, so I won't be doing them. But needless to say, I've been like keeping up on like local events and events like all over. Right now is the US Tennis Championship, which I do want to go to, but this year I learned that the opening ceremonies, or not the opening ceremony, but the pre-qualifying ceremonies are free to go to. So if you don't want to spend all the money for the actual tickets, then that's an option as well, which I probably will employ next year. So overall, doing well on that goal. And then the last goal for the year was to continue my body recomposition journey, which I have been doing so far. I've had, I would say, I don't know, some ups and downs. Like I feel like sometimes things get a little thrown off during vacation, especially on the African vacation. Ironically, like I'm pretty sure I gained 5 pounds on that vacation. They were feeding us so well. We had like luxury accommodations and stuff, so they were like feeding us like crazy, and everything was delicious. So I was definitely partaking, and they weren't walking as much because, you know, you can't really walk in the freaking safari jungle, and even walking around the actual tents was like not encouraged because, you know, wild animals. It's like an open camp and whatnot. So I didn't do much walking until we got to Tanzania. But anyway, so I wouldn't say I fell off, because I still do all the things that I usually do. Like I usually work out pretty frequently on vacation. Every day I try to do that, and I try to eat well, and etc, etc. So I don't think that necessarily was a problem. Just that I was consuming more calories than I was burning. But now I'm back on track, and I'm feeling good about where I am in terms of physique. And then the other, I guess, issue arose from physical therapy. I mentioned to you guys about my back. I had to dial it back in terms of weights, per the physical therapist's recommendation, which I was not happy about. I still have a good amount of muscles, but I definitely feel like they might have shrunk a little bit due to them not getting pushed to the same degree that they used to. But I will say that, you know, working back up to the weights, I'm still like making progress in terms of my physique, and my back is actually feeling better. So that's good at least. So yeah, that is it for my goals for this year. I have some other things that I might want to switch up or add at some point in the future. We'll see. Since September, that leaves September and 3 more months to the end of the year, so we'll see what we can accomplish in that time. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty positive about things so far. Now I'm at Aldi, so I'm gonna go grab some stuff, and then we'll get back and chat about finances and everything else when I get back home. Okay, so on a walk, I wasn't going to walk because I thought it was gonna rain. The forecast said it was not gonna rain, but it's looking like it's gonna rain. But I think I have 10 more minutes on my walk, so I'm gonna chat to to you guys about finances. So I already made a budgeting video about September and what my August spending was, so you guys can check that video out. And over the last few months, not much has been happening with finances, except that, as I mentioned in that budgeting video, I started to increase my investing. So when I went part-time, I kind of backed off investing, except if it was retirement related. So as I mentioned before, I'm still maxing out all the retirement accounts, but I want to do a little bit of investing in the taxable brokerage account. So between the Roth IRA and the taxable brokerage account, those are both after-tax investment accounts. I wanted to invest $1,000 between the two. So I think it's, oh, there's a frog there. So I think it's, I'll put the amount, so 5 something for the Roth and then 4 something for the taxable brokerage account. So all in all, that's what I'm doing now. And I don't know, I guess I just felt like, I don't know, I'm always going to be an investor and I feel like that's the best way to grow your money. So that's what I decided to do, and it's been okay. I still have money left over after budgeting to, you know, I already set money aside for travel. That's like my other savings priority. I'm going up a hill, guys, so excuse me. And then of course I have money to live, so pay my bills, pay for groceries, etc., and money to buy things that I desire. So I still have a little bit of money for wants, which has been good. It's not as much as I would like to. I mean, I would love to make more money, but I'm not willing to. It's like a bunch of deers there. But yeah, I'm not willing to sacrifice my mental health by like working more in order to have that extra money. So just doing what I can with what I have. So that's it for finances. Things have been fine, just steady as usual. And now we're gonna move on to the next part of the video, which is going to be my favorites for the last few months. Okay, so I'm back home. I've been home for a minute now. Just been reading the news, had some lunch, and then I made some matcha. And for the first time ever, this matcha does not taste terrible. Like I just could not get matcha at home down. And the thing is that you have to put a very small amount of matcha in there. So normally the serving size is like 1 tablespoon, but basically you need like half a tablespoon and way more milk than I had anticipated to make it taste tolerable. So yes, I'm enjoying this matcha. I've had 2 cups of coffee so far today due to my lack of sleep, and I figure I would choose a gentler caffeine for the afternoon time. But let's get into favorites of the last few months. So there's been a lot of things that I've been loving, but we're just gonna keep it simple because I don't want to be here forever. But starting off with media, so there were a couple movies that I watched since I last seen you guys. So I watched Furiosa. I don't even know when that came out. In the summer, I guess. It was really good. Of course, if you like Mad Max, like the latest Mad Max. I can't speak to the older versions because I've never watched them. But yeah, I really enjoyed Furiosa, and I ended up rewatching Mad Max on the plane, and it was still good as ever. So that was good. And then I watched this movie on Netflix that did not anticipate was going to be good, but it ended up being good. So it was called Freaks. It's basically sci-fi about a world in which humans with superpowers are like shunned, and it has this like daddy-daughter trope, which is of course like super cute. Like who doesn't love a daddy-daughter story? So it was surprisingly good. So that's one. And then in terms of series, I haven't really watched a good series in a long time. I'm trying to think. I tried to like look back through Netflix and stuff, but I actually don't really watch Netflix like that. And most of the other things I have are on like a various like streaming websites, so there's nowhere to track them. But Power of the Rings just came out, was it last week? But yes, so there's 3 episodes to start, and then a new episode just came this Thursday, so I've been watching that. I enjoy it. I know it seems to have mixed reviews between, I don't know, I'm assuming these are diehard like Lord of the Rings fans that don't like it. I'm not a diehard person. I did not read the books, and I tried to read one book of his and like could not do it because it read too much like the Bible. So, you know, I'm not at that level, but I enjoy The Power of the Rings. So that's what I'm watching now. If you have any recommendations for new shows to watch, let me know. I've been kind of in a slump, but there is a couple that you guys had recommended to me now that I'm thinking about it, and I need to check them out. I'm always like forgetting. I need to make a list of things so that I always have like something to access. But moving on to books. So I've actually read a good amount of books in the last few months, but the ones that I've enjoyed the most are by Sarah J. Maas. I was telling you guys in the vlog about the books. So I just finished the Crescent City series that is 3 books. And then I am currently working through the Throne of Glass series. And I think, I'm not sure what book this is, but I will let you know. This one is The Empire of Storms. I started off with a kind of prequel, which I did not read because when I Googled like the order of the books, like I did not see this prequel there the first time. But then once I started looking into it, there was a prequel, but I didn't read the prequel. I just read the first book in the series, which is called Throne of Glass. So now I'm on this book. I just got it today. I have been reading most of my books now, like all of my books honestly, on Libby. That's just the digital library app that local libraries can sign up with to make their digital books available. So that's what I've been using. However, lots of these books are in such high demand, you have to wait like weeks to get them. And this one, I had borrowed it, but I was like busy reading the Crescent City books. I didn't get to it, and then I got bumped back down to the back of the bottom of the waiting list, which is like 10 weeks. And I was like not about to wait 10 weeks. So I just bought it on Amazon. And I'm excited to keep going in the series. You know, if you've read Court of Thorn of Roses, these are all similar. They're fantasy, romance type novels with adventure, etc. They're pretty good read. She does a good job of like emoting things with a character and like delving into like details. And I just really enjoy reading the books. They're easy to get lost in. Next up, items. So I've been loving lots of things actually, but like I said, keeping it short. So I've been chatting about these sandals for the last few while. So these are some comfort sandals. Unfortunately, they're not the cleanest, but because I've been like using them like every weekend for the last few weekends, so they're a little beat up, but those are from Aerosol. I got them for my vacation because I needed something that was comfortable and somewhat stylish to like wear out and that would work with my outfit. So I got that and one other pair of loafers, and I've been loving them. They were super cheap. Like this pair costs I think 30 bucks, and then the other pair cost 20 bucks. I got them both from TJ Maxx. So definitely check out the comfort shoe section if you're looking for like comfortable shoes, because it can be a real doozy when you're trying to like walk 20 steps in some like fancy cutesy shoe. So yeah, I've been loving those. Comfortable and cute. And then I actually just got this phone case, which actually I think is super cute. I don't know if it's a favorite of the day. I just got it from Marshall. So I've been enjoying that, but I'm moving on with other things that I'm enjoying. I have been loving this trail mix. I figured I started incorporating foods and things. There's always like so many good foods that I find, mostly from Aldi, because they always have like a rotating selection of specialty things. So there's always like something new to latch on to. I think this is part of the permanent collection, but this is the tropical trail mix, which is so good. It has bananas, papayas, raisins, pineapples, cranberries, golden raisins, cashews, and almonds. And I've had this like combo in Europe. Like I went to this spa one time and they had this in the wedding area and it was like so delicious, but I haven't really been able to find a comparable version in America, and now we have it. So this has been fun. I've been like eating. It's usually around lunchtime or after lunchtime as like a kind of like a dessert, but a, you know, nutritious dessert. So that's been fun. It has 120 calories, so the portion size is actually very small. And as I mentioned, you have to like watch out for that, or else you will be eating like 300 calories worth of trail mix, which is no good. But this has been really good. And then one more thing that I've been liking, I'm going to get it right now. Okay, so final thing in the favorite is going to be the Osei Undaria cleansing body wash, and this came in a set. As I was mentioning, I did the haul in the vlog, but I bought it mostly for the body oil, which has been great, but this has been surprisingly good. As I discovered, it has alpha hydroxy acids in it, as well as, I don't know what the beads are, but it's also a physical exfoliator as well. So it does a really good job at making your skin smooth. And unlike other body scrubs, it's not particularly oily. I do love the oily feeling. I love to be moisturized. But this one does a good job of smoothing you out without like the oily feeling. So if you don't like the oily feeling, like this is a good bet. once it gets in contact with water, it becomes like a milky paste, and then the beads are in there that are exfoliating as well. So it's been really nice. I usually do this about once a week and I've been enjoying it. So that's it for favorites. Let's move on to what our goals and to-dos are for September. Okay, so goals, I'm gonna keep this relatively short. I would say that most of the goals that I've had in the past have basically become habits now, so there's no need to put them back on there. The one was to do an activity a month, like that's basically built into my life now. And the other was reading a book. I'm reading a book. And I think those are the two long-standing ones. I did used to talk about learning French in some capacity. That was the goal, but like I said, I'm like reevaluating that goal that I had for the year, and we'll see if that's feasible or if I can find some other way to learn French that is actually beneficial. But for September, I have 3 goals. The first one is to do a video a week. I have recommitted myself to YouTube. And I mentioned before, this is like a on and off thing for a lot of reasons. One, it takes a lot of time. 2, one questions whether it's worth it to do YouTube in the first place, because it takes a lot of time and you don't necessarily see the product of that time. And there is like a bit of devaluation in oneself when you're putting in work and getting nothing. So it's easy to fall off is the point, and it's happened millions of times and will continue to happen millions of times in the history of YouTube. So yes, regardless of that, I am going to try to be consistent for, I don't know, we'll see, a designated amount of time. And if I find that it's no longer fruitful, then I can say it like I did, or I was consistent for a dedicated amount of time. But my battery's gonna die, so let's fix that and then we'll get on to the rest. Okay, so moving on to the next goal. This is something that I have been contemplating for some time, on and off, but this involves starting a business. I mean, I've always thought of business ideas, and in some ways I've like, you know, questioned like the viability of said business ideas, and I guess lots of businesses fail, and I just have to get over that and start just trying, even though I might fail, because that has usually always been a barrier. But I'm thinking about starting this business, and I need to see if it's even possible to do. It would be some sort of let's see, what's the word, like a web-based product. So I am not a computer person at all, as in like that's not what my credentials are in. I've always loved computers and the internet and web development and things like that, and at some point I did think about doing software development. However, like it doesn't seem like a worthwhile investment for me, particularly because I already spent all this time in school majoring in the field that I already have, and to go back to school, getting more debt and do all of those things was not beneficial in my mind, to like go and then yet again work another 40-hour a week plus job and potentially be back to being where I am now, which is unhappy with my job. So needless to say, I do not have the skills required for this. However, I have the vision, so I need to find someone to discuss it with and or see if I can get this going. So second goal for this month is to actually contact a developer and see if it's actually a feasible thing to be done. And then other goal, as I mentioned, I'm supposed to be decluttering and getting things like out of my house. So I put a simple task of listing one item, because I can't seem to find the impetus to list these items. And it's not really, it is hard. It's like physical work, and it's not my favorite thing to do. However, I can do one thing. So I'm gonna try and do it, and then eventually, hopefully I can incorporate it into some sort of routine like I have with like all my other things, like set aside a few hours of the day when I'm not working to list a few items or something like that. But I just need to get started. So we're starting off with 1. Then to do, I have my Japan trip coming up actually in a little less than a month. So beginning of October, I'm going to be heading to Japan, and I need to plan for that trip. And I just, in preparation for this video, decided to get going. It's like I made this list, I need to get going. So yesterday I spent a good bit of time planning for that trip, and in my last video someone had asked me about about how I go about planning for trips, which I'm going to tell you guys, but I'm going to do it after I finish this to-do list. So stick around if you're interested in that. If not, you know, I'll see you soon. Next thing to do, me and my boyfriend are thinking about going to, well, I am definitely going to Europe regardless of if he wants to go or not, but he wanted to tag along, he said. So I need to book a flight for Christmas in Europe. The question is, where should our starting point be? That's the biggest question. But right now, if you happen to have time off in December, the flights to Europe are very cheap. It's slow season. It's not a peak time to go. Like, no one's really going to Europe in December. So, but the hidden thing is, or the nice thing about it, is that there's less people and the weather's not terrible and it's cheap. So that's an option. If you're interested, we'll talk more about that in a second. And then in relation to that, I need to put into work to have that time off. And then the last thing I need to do is to get something for my boyfriend for his birthday. It is coming up, and even though it's on my calendar, I was like, oh, I need to like start working on this now. So I need to do that and then possibly plan some sort of like a date or something like that. So there's that. Now let's chat about how I go about booking vacations and whatnot. Okay, so first things first, you need discretionary income for these trips. So what I do is I make a sinking fund. So I decide at the beginning of the year how much my budget can allow me to put aside every month, or how much I typically spend on vacation. And then once I find that amount of money, I divide it by 12. And then every month I take that amount of money out of my checking account or paycheck right off the bat and put it aside in a savings account. So every month I'm saving towards travel, and that way, like, I don't have any, I mean, I still have anxiety about spending all this money on trips, but it lessens the anxiety because the money is there to spend on the trips, even though I don't necessarily like spending a large amount of money at a time, but I also like traveling. So first step, make sure that you have some way to afford the trip, and there are ways to get around that as well. So first thing I do is I buy a ticket, and that always depends on the price. And the best way to get the best price is usually in off season. So like I mentioned, December is a good time to go to Europe. Winter is a good time to go to Europe. Nobody wants to go there then. People love the summer months, of course, and there's tons of people and tons of chaos, which I dislike. So I usually use the Explore feature on Kayak to determine the cheapest price at a certain time in the year. So for instance, if I want to take a vacation in January, then I will set the browser to January for anywhere in the world. You can look at the entire world or a portion of the world to see what the prices are, and then you can pick the lowest price. I mean, this works if you have a bunch of places that you want to go to, so you have more options and you're not like stuck. If you're determined to go to like one place, then this becomes a little bit harder. But there's that. Second thing is airline points. If I want to go somewhere and the tickets are expensive, then I look at, can I utilize the points that I have? I get points from travel credit cards and from frequent flyer programs at actual airlines. Most of the points come from the credit cards, but every once in a while I'll buy an airline ticket from, say, American Airlines, and I'll like sign into their portal to get the points for that. It's never like a crazy amount, but it's useful just to have points in several places, and it's definitely useful to get a credit card that acquires points. My favorite is the Chase Sapphire Reserve. That to me has the best value even with the annual fee, and then second to that would be the Capital One Venture X. So those two are my favorite credit cards to get travel points. Of course, you can get more cards in each company so that you can accelerate your points overall, and we can talk about that at another point, or if you want to know what other cards I have, you know, feel free to ask. I think I do have a video, but I need to update the video. And then after I decide about the airplane ticket, the next thing I think about is what is there to do in that particular place. Sometimes I have a vague idea of what there is to do, but I need to delve in and find out like particulars. So in terms of sites, the first thing I usually do is to Google, say I'm going to Tokyo, I Google Tokyo sites. And then Google has like a pictogram of several places and sites linked on the map that you can decide, hey, this looks like something that I would like like to do or would not. The next place that I normally go is to look at vlogs to see what other people are doing. Depending on how I feel, I might change the YouTube results to be like in the last month, in the last year, something more current. If it doesn't matter, then I will do it for any time. Another fun way that I found to do things in other places is the 36-hour articles in the New York Times. So New York Times has been putting out these articles for years now, but it's 36 hours in whatever city in the world. So there is a one, or actually there are three, 36 hours in Tokyo. So I'd like read that article, look through what they mentioned. They have hotel recommendations, food, sites, arts, museums, etc. So you can get a good view of what to do. The other thing that I like to do is to go on the Lonely Planet website. In the past, like I would get the Lonely Planet books or buy them and carry them around with me because they had maps and stuff before Google Maps was a thing, but now we have Google Maps, so we don't need it. So Lonely Planet is another good place. And then most recently, travel books. From Mexico City, my boyfriend actually brought this back. He went to the library and borrowed a couple travel books, and we looked through those to find recommended sites and all the restaurants and stuff that we visited, and we were like at a restaurant like every day. So that's another option that's free. So all those things are free. If you want, you can buy the book if you like to carry it with you, but I personally don't want to carry a book around like in addition to the 50 other things I have. And then the third way that I go about managing these trips is to find lodging. I usually do that last because one, you need the flight, two, you need to know what you're doing in order to determine where you're going to be staying. In terms of lodging, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm going for soul experience, then I will pay up to be in somewhere nice. For this Tokyo trip, I'm thinking that I want to spend most of my money shopping because Japan, ironically so, is like has a huge vintage market for designer things, and they have hundreds of thousands of stores and hundreds of thousands of items that are hugely discounted, and that is where I want to spend my money, and I don't want to spend it on hotels. So I usually use Kayak for starting my hotel search, and as I've said, they're sometimes mentioned in like the 36-hour articles or like in the travel guides about hotels to look for. But usually I use Kayak, and then I sort it by, usually I want the reviews to be good. So the reviews have to be at 8 or 9 plus. So they need to be good. The lowest hotel that I'm usually willing to go into is a 3-star hotel. I have done hostels in the past, like any other young person, and it's been fine, but I'm usually like not at this stage in my life trying to be in a hostel, but it is an option. You can get hotels for like very cheap anywhere you go, depending on what you're willing to tolerate. Other things that I look for in terms of travel is in terms of the sites, do I need to have a ticket before I go? So in Tokyo, the bullet train is particularly popular, so I need to get a ticket for that. And then the Studio Ghibli Museum is very popular, so I need a ticket before I go for that. Other things that I've recently started doing is to look into events and performances. So I will basically just look up or Google Tokyo events, and usually you can get a date range or put in a date range so you can see like if there are any performances, arts, anything like that that could be happening at the same time that you're there, and then you can like, you know, immerse yourself into the local experience as well. So that is gonna be it for how I plan and manage all my travel things. Usually this planning process takes a while, like at least takes a month for me. Like I never spontaneously book something. Even if I did, it would be like I would still have like about a week minimum to get this done. But I like to have a few months to get this done so I can take my time and not feel rushed. And yeah, that's gonna be it for the reset for September. Let me know what you guys have been doing, what your goals have been. Have you been excelling at them, doing okay? Like what's been going on? Like I want to see like what everybody else is up to as well. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.